I dropped it. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlefolk. My name is Frenegades, Frenegadez, and today we are going to be doing another video game review today. And did I break this disc? Thankfully, I didn't. Today we are going to be reviewing The Walking Dead Season 2. It is a video game that came out in 2014 for the Xbox 360, for the PlayStation 3, for eventually remastered for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and then it was remastered. You already get the gist, right? It was remastered in 2017 for the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro on the collection, on the Walking Dead collection, and then remastered again for the Walking Dead Definitive Collection, Definitive Edition. I think that's what it's called. So yeah. This season, it's a boo-boo. Pretty boo-boo. Now, granted, I'll say this. I like the general story that it was supposed to be going around, but I don't really... Oh, wow. I'll say this, though. Here's some stuff that I like about this game, right? I like the graphics. I do like the graphics. They're slightly updated. I like the character designs. The game itself is meant to be darker. It's definitely darker in tone. Like, not even just like the color schemes and everything. I'm talking about like the actual writing. There is a lot of grim stuff in here. Clementine right here. 11-year-old Clementine gets bitten by a dog and thrown into a shed. There's this Russian kid where he gets basically beaten to a bloody pulp. A baby almost ends up dying in this game. The mother that gave birth to this baby ends up dying. The father also ends up dying. There's implications of rape. There is a small implication of rape going on in that. And I do like the darker tone of the game. Obviously there's going to be some odd moments, some funny moments, like a man getting shot in the dick and balls. Without spoiling the game too much, I'm just going to tell you which episodes I liked, why I like them, and which episodes I don't like, and why I don't like them. I'm going to give you an early score right now. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Actually, 3.5, because this game consists the worst episode that the series has to offer, or one of the worst episodes the series has to offer. Season 2, episode 4, Amid the Ruins. That episode is so boring. It is so boring that I just want to go to sleep thinking about it right now. So yeah. Anyways, episode 1, pretty good episode. Intense. Clementine's character really shines throughout here. It shows her to be cunning and resourceful, and it's pretty nice. Then Clementine's character kind of gets dialed down to just, hey, this is Clementine. You are Clementine. That's it. Yeah. One thing I hate about this game too is that Clementine is surrounded by like adults, like a lot of adults. Like, oh, the characters that you are around. You got Rebecca, you got Alvin, you got Carlos, you got Luke, you got Pete, who ends up dying. So Nick, then you got Jane, then you got Kenny, who somehow survived whatever ordeal you got him into the first season. His girlfriend Sarita. You got Walter, and then he dies. You got Matthew. Well, Matthew doesn't really count because Matthew isn't really a part of the group. But still, who else can I name? I think that might be it, right? Oh yeah, Mike, Bonnie. 10 adults. And they all keep asking the 11-year-old girl to keep doing stuff for them, to do the plans for them, just because Clementine is small. And it's really, really odd considering, like, wow, you trust an 11-year-old girl to do this. The mind of a child. Look how young she looks. A child. Yeah. Clementine is basically like the only grown adults. Like, I'm gonna, I guess, edit this video, but this picture right here is the exact embodiment of Clementine in this series, in this season, actually. Just not the whole series, but this season. So yeah, Clementine pretty much just becomes Lee 2.0, where like everybody is looking to her for guidance, looking to her for leadership, and looking to her as to what they should do next. That Trey Rag skit is not inaccurate, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, the villain in this series, there's actually two villains. One of them is William Carver, who is the villain from, who's kind of like a looming threat in the first episode. Then he makes his first appearance in episode 2, and then he kidnaps you all and ends up killing Walter in episode 2. And then episode 3, this is where you're stuck in his camp. So yeah, episode 3 is also one of those really dark episodes with the theme of like slavery. Yeah, the whole group, including Clementine, are basically slaves to this dude. I mean, seriously, like Carver is a ruthless sociopathic, power hungry freak is the best way I could describe him as. It is implied that he raped Rebecca, which is why she's pregnant, because he keeps talking real weird, and like right before he dies in episode 3, he says, like, don't act like you didn't enjoy every second of it. And it's like, dude, all right, bro. There was also the character Troy, who I think, apparently, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, who's supposed to, like, try to molest Clementine or something like that. Yeah. And the thing is, it's kind of easy to believe, because he says some really weird stuff at the beginning of episode 3, because that episode starts off with Clementine and Sarah, this 15-year-old girl who was the daughter of Carlos, the doctor of the group. Clementine is standing with Sarah while she has to go pee, and you know, when she finishes up, Troy walks over to her. He's like, everything come out all right, girls. And it's like, nigga, what? Dude, what are you talking about? Why would you walk over to somebody and think to yourself, yeah, did everything come out all right? Like, nigga, what? Why would a thought like that formulate in your brain? Why would a thought ever formulate in your brain like that? So yeah, you know what I forgot to do? Actually, I was looking at this, at the back of this, and I'm like, these are some really high reviews. Yeah, it is some really high. There are some really high reviews. Let's just look at this. It says 9 out of 10 for episode 1 by Joystick. Episode 2 got a 9 out of 10 by Polygon. Episode 3 got a 10 out of 10 from Machinima. Episode 4 got a 9.5 out of 10 from Game Trailers. And episode 5 got a 9.5 out of 10 from IGN. Wow! That doesn't mean anything to me. Oh, wow. That does not mean a damn thing to me, because I did not like this game. And you might ask yourself, if you say all this positive stuff about it, why do you not like it? Okay. The thing is, the game is so incredibly boring to me. The tone of it, everything kind of drags on. Everything's dull from the tone. The winter theme. I'm too tall for this. Come up here with me. It is the winter theme, right? I'm going to sit down with you now. The winter theme automatically makes something kind of boring to me because it's darker, it's colder. I don't like winter time, if I'm being honest with you. When I think of, what is it, an apocalyptic winter, like, you know, everything's going to be dead around you. So it's like, it's not going to give off a good tone. It's definitely not going to give off a good tone. And I don't like the end of the series at in episode 4 onward with the Russians. There is this kid named Arvo, right? There's this kid named Arvo where okay, let me backtrack for you. Episode 4, Carver's dead, and your entire group, including some of Carver's people, that being Jane and Mike, they end up leaving. They end up escaping, right? So then, they end up meeting at this Civil War site. And Rebecca, I think her water breaks. Rebecca's water breaks. So now, they're all looking for a place to where, so Rebecca can give birth. So if you end up going with Jane, you end up finding this gift shop on this deck. And they end up finding this Russian kid with this thing on his leg. He's like walking with a limp. He's kind of like, you know. And he's got a gun and a bag full of medicine. So he encounters Clementine and Jane. And you have the choice whether you want to steal his items or if you choose not to. Whether you choose to or not, eventually it's going to come back to you. Because even if you choose not to, Jane ends up taking his gun from him and threatening him. So yeah. So anyways, eventually Rebecca gives birth. Rebecca gives birth, and the Russians, you're walking in the woods, and you find Arvo, and he has his friends in the woods. Big Russian niggas. Big ball Russian Birdman type nigga. So yeah, they all end up getting killed. And they take Arvo hostage. And Arvo is like, oh, I got the place for you. I have the place for you. There's food, there's water there. I have a place for you. I could take you there. And it's like, why would anybody trust this? And then everybody else is like, oh, well, if he's being honest, then maybe, we don't want to risk the chance of him not being honest. So yeah, they end up going with him. Kenny ends up beating the dog shit out of him occasionally. And when they reach the house, there's a moment that I hate. I really hate this moment. So, the character Bonnie from 400 Days, she's part of the main cast of this, is involved in this. As you probably already know if you played the game, if you did it the exact same way I did it. So, between you and the house is a big lake of ice. So, you decide to walk across it. Okay. Arvo starts running off. Walkers come by. Ice breaks on Luke. And Luke is trying to, get himself together. So Bonnie, she's watching this happen. And you're watching this happen. And Bonnie is telling him, hey, you can go over there and save him. You can go over there and save him. So you have the choice of, and Luke is telling you, no, don't save me. Don't save me. And Bonnie is like, you gotta go save him. So you have the choice to whether cover Luke and kill the zombies that are surrounding him, or to go over for Luke and try to grab him. The smart idea would obviously be to cover for him, because you add weight onto breaking ice, it's gonna break through. So I choose to cover for him. And what does Bonnie do? She goes over to him. And the ice breaks. Luke is under the ice now, under me and the ice. And I'm trying to break it. And I end up breaking. Well, I don't know if it breaks through or not. I think it does break through, right? But Luke is already dead. And Bonnie, she makes it out. But then after this, there's a moment where Bonnie talks to Clementine, and she's like, it must be nice being a pretty old girl, because no one you'd ever ask you to do anything. You could have saved Luke. You could have saved him. I have nothing to say to you. And you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to punch her. I wanted to punch her. But yeah, that's like my least favorite moment in the entire series. Right next to something that happens in A New Frontier, which I will be reviewing hopefully this month, if I can find a copy of it, because as I said, I want physical copies. I like collecting physical copies. I like doing stuff like this to those physical copies. I like to mess around with those physical copies. So yeah. Anyways. So yeah, anyways, episode 5. What happens in episode 5? Oh no, that was happening in episode 5. I forgot. Episode 4 is basically looking for a place for Rebecca to give birth. That's pretty much it. As I said, it's boring as shit. I'm sorry, Lord. But episode 5 goes on, and what happens in that episode? Oh yeah, Mike, right? The character Mike. He sees the abuse Arvo is going through, and whether you agree with it or not, Mike has kind of a funny attraction to Arvo. Now, granted, I'm not saying it's a sexual attraction or anything like that. Maybe he could be. I don't know. Mike might be gay and into twinks, into Russian twinks. I don't know. But Mike tries his damnedest to help this boy. Mike tries his damnedest to help this boy. And he does so much to the point where this car that was at the house that they found, Kenny got it working. And they basically tried to steal it. And it also leads to another one of the worst moments of the game. Where even if you have Bonnie or not, it doesn't matter. It's still one of the worst moments of the game. Where Arvo shoots Clementine. Yeah, Arvo shoots Clementine, and Clementine flashes back, has a dream about some stuff that happens in season 1. And this is where you can get a cameo of S1 Kenny, Katja, Duck, Ben, and potentially Lily if you let her go with you. Me? Hey, I'll let her go with me. What can I say? What more can I say? So yeah. Clementine ends up waking up to Kenny and Jane driving, now the last 2 survivors of the group. Now, you might be wondering, what happened to the other survivors of the group? And that is a really, really good question. So, I'm going to write down a list. And I'm going to tell you how each of them died. The first one, episode 1, was Pete. Pete has 2 deaths. Pete can either get eaten by the walkers immediately if you decide at the end of episode 1 if you choose to go with Nick or if you choose to go with Pete. Now, Pete does get bitten no matter what. So if you go with Pete, he'll die in episode 2 and he'll basically go out and sacrifice himself to buy Clementine some time. So yeah, 2 deaths. Who dies in episode 2? Let me think. Oh, Matthew. No, Matthew doesn't really matter. So, I mean, kind of, but not really at the same time. Matthew, okay, fine. I'll throw Matthew in there. Matthew is Walter's boyfriend or his husband. I don't know. I know that they're a gay couple. So, yeah. But Matthew ends up getting shot in the neck because ends up getting shot in the neck by Nick on a bridge because he didn't know if he was trying to stick up Clementine and Luke. Yeah, there's a moment like that. Clementine and Luke see this guy on the bridge, and they go over to him, and they try to negotiate something. Talk to him and let them pass through. So yeah, Matthew ends up getting shot in the neck because Nick didn't know what was up. So yeah. Eventually, we have, who's next? Nick. Nick has 2 deaths. The first death is kind of specific, action specific. All right? So, Walter finds out that Matthew is dead and that Nick killed him. So, you have the potential to tell Walter if Nick is just like everybody else or if he's a good man. If you tell Walter that he's just like everybody else, then when walkers start to swarm the place, Walter will see Nick, being held up by a walker, and he can choose to kill the walker or not. If you tell him that he's not a good person, he won't. He won't kill the walker. He'll just let him die right there. Otherwise, he'll shoot the walker, and eventually, Nick will just die off screen. So, tough titty! Tough titty! So yeah, next up is Walter. Walter gets killed no matter what in episode 2. Yeah. During Carver's raid on the cabin, the whole kidnapping and stuff like that, the whole hostage takeover, he ends up killing Walter. So yeah, he kills him no matter what. Gunshot straight to the brain. So, hey, tough titty. Next up we have is Alvin, who also has 2 deaths. Let me write that down. So yeah, Alvin also has 2 deaths. I mean, yeah, Alvin does have 2 deaths. So yeah, the first death is what is it? You pretty much have to get Kenny shooting. So you have to go to Kenny during the takeover instead of staying with Rebecca and Alvin. And during that, you can have Kenny shoot Carver, and Carver will get back up, and he'll go over and kill Alvin. He'll go over and kill Alvin. So yeah, the second death happens in episode 3, where Alvin was brutally beaten. Yeah, Alvin was brutally beaten, and there's a point where Clementine is, trying to execute her escape plan, and he basically stops the guards from going after him. So he ends up killing. He shoots one of the guards. He ends up getting shot, and he ends up dying. Both of them actually end up dying. So, yeah. So yeah, next up on the list is Sarita, which episode 3 ends off on. Sarita kind of has 2 deaths, but it's kind of the same call. Well, yeah, it happens in the same moment, basically. There's a moment where Sarita, at the end of episode 3, gets bitten. And your final decision of that episode is to, what is it? To cut off her hand or to not, or to not do it, right? If you cut off her hand, you'll cut off her hand, she'll start screaming, and then she'll end up, dying, and you have to put an axe in her head. And Kenny will be super pissed off. Otherwise, if you don't, I think she just screams or something like that. And she'll eventually end up dying off on her own the next episode. So, yeah. Yes. The next character to die is Carlos. Oh, no. Carlos dies before Sarita. But still, Carlos ends up dying. And he ends up getting shot during the escape, basically. No, he doesn't. He gets eaten by walkers. That's what happens. So, yeah. Episode 4, as we have already established, Nick dies. Sarah was so affected by her father's death that she was stuck in a trailer home. And walkers are swarming it. So you have to escape through the skylight. And you only have so much time before the walkers start coming in. So you have the choice to either convince Sarah or leave her. If you leave her, obviously she gets eaten by walkers. If you convince her, she will die like 20 minutes later, while Rebecca's giving birth, because the gift shop that they're on is on this huge deck that ends up falling apart and collapsing onto Sarah. And you have the choice to help her out. You have the choice to have Jane help her out or not. Either way, she'll die no matter what. So, yeah, tough titty. As I've already explained, Luke in episode 5, Rebecca ends up dying. She ends up becoming a walker due to blood loss while she was giving birth. So, yeah. Other characters, Jane and Kenny can die kind of in the same moment. It really depends. Jane and Kenny at the end of this season are having a fight because Jane, in a snowstorm, Jane puts AJ in a car and leads Kenny to believe that AJ died. AJ being the baby of Alvin and Rebecca. So yeah, they end up fighting, and Clementine has a choice that determines the ending of this, which is to shoot Kenny, who is on top of her with a knife, about to plunge it into her heart. He has the choice to do that. He has the choice to shoot him and stop him, or to just look away. If you shoot him and stop him, Kenny will have a short conversation with Clementine, and he will die, which is what I chose. And then you have or if you choose to look away, Jane will die. He'll end up stabbing Jane, and then for some reason you have immediately the option to shoot Kenny again. You have a second opportunity to shoot Kenny. And this time, it's not a short conversation. It's just Kenny kind of just giving up and just telling her to shoot him. So, yeah. There are many endings to this game. There are definitely many endings to this game. So, let's go over them real quick. The Kenny endings. You have the option to... So, Kenny and Clementine, I forgot to mention this. I don't know how. But Clementine and Krista were looking for this place called Wellington. And Clementine, throughout the season, is asking about Krista and also mentioning Wellington. So eventually they end up finding Wellington. I forgot to mention that AJ was still alive, and whoever Clementine is with, finds the baby. So, yeah. But Clementine and Kenny go to Wellington. They find it like 9 days later. And Wellington isn't accepting any new members. But Kenny offers to have just the kids go without him. So you have the choice to either go into Wellington for a better chance at your future with AJ, or to just go off with Kenny. So, yeah. I will explain what happens after each ending in my review for A New Frontier. But then you have Jane, where you end up going to house the warehouse, the hardware store, the warehouse that Carver had you all enslaved in. And you have this family that comes up and asks you to take them in, but you don't have enough food. You don't really have enough food. So either you have to ration it out, or to just to turn them away. That's kind of it. And then there's the alone ending, which I don't think it requires any specific choice. But there are also moments where that doesn't require you killing both Kenny and Jane. There's also the moments where, dialogue like, hey, I think you're crazy, or hey, you're fucking crazy. And you can just leave them. So, yeah. Overall, this season is kind of booty butt cheeks. This writing starts off really strongly with the whole Clementine without Lee thing. It starts off pretty strong at episode 1. Then episode 2, it's still pretty decently there. I think Carver's presence in episode 2 was way stronger than it was in episode 3, which is kind of funny to say, because Carver just comes off as a regular old crazy guy in episode 3, but in episode 2, even his first appearance in the beginning of the episode, the dude's pretty threatening and pretty scary. I will admit that. Where Sarah, everybody's looking for Nick and Pete because they went hunting, and Sarah comes to Clementine. She's like, I think Luke's here, and then you don't see Luke's face. And then you get to the door, and Sarah's like, I don't think that's Luke. Yeah, that's pretty scary. So, yeah. I know this isn't the best way the story is portrayed or told, but this is, as I said, me going off the top of my brain. So, at least appreciate that I was able to talk about this for 28 minutes. Yeah, nearly 30 minutes. So, just at least appreciate that I was able to do all that. Able to talk about a game that I don't like all that much, which is funny because I don't like A New Frontier all that much either, and I barely remember anything about that. So at least I don't remember the individual episodes too well. So yeah, is there anything else that I liked about this aside from the character designs and the strong writing in the beginning of this season? I like that there's multiple endings as well. I do like there are multiple endings that actually are impacted by the decisions you make. But even then, nothing matters because everyone dies. Everyone dies. The Walking Dead Season 2 gets a 3.5 out of 10. At best, it could be like a 4, maybe even a 5. But I don't like it. I consider it pretty mid, but I don't think it's bad because the first 2 episodes are the only saving grace. Episode 3 is decent. It's not horrible, but episode 4 is just that bad, and episode 5 is also just that bad up until the ending, at least. Yeah. I hope you all have a blessed day. 3.5 out of 10. I'm out.